Coming at you from the UBS Evening News, it's the IGN Digigods. And now, please welcome two men who are mad as hell and aren't going to take it anymore, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
Oh, yeah, madder than mad as hell. Corey, who sent that one in for us?
That was written by Kevin Lower, who clearly knows that I know the reference by heart and don't need to do 3 takes.
Wouldn't that be funny if instead of it were UBS, it were like the IBS, whatever that stands for? Corey, what is that?
Brought to you by Irritable Bowel Syndrome. Who gives... Nope.
There we go. That's what we
You know what, Wade, you really sold that. You made it seem as if that Corey was really here.
In the room.
It's unbelievable.
It's amazing,
He literally drove all the way across town just to say those 2 lines, and now he can go home.
Yes, he did. So, anyway, what a sports weekend, right? My goodness gracious.
Sports I don't care about.
My goodness gracious,
No,
Nick.
don't care about soccer, don't care about basketball.
But you got the NBA playoffs, you got the Stanley Cup playoffs,
you got
the French Open, Women's World Cup starting, and then you had Triple Crown winner, American Pharaoh. How about that?
You could not name 5 sports I give a crap about less.
Oh,
the only fun thing I find interesting is American Pharaoh, just because it hasn't been done in 38 years or something.
Did you know that the German women played the women from Ivory Coast and defeated them 10-0?
All right.
You were always complaining there aren't enough goals in soccer. 10-0. Do you know how painful that game was to watch? It was excruciating.
You know, our listeners love this stuff. They love hearing you talk about Ivory Coast soccer.
Poor girls from Ivory Coast. It was like watching Barcelona just completely dismantle a team of 12-year-old AYSO players.
Keep going.
All right. You know what? I want to read a little listener mail thing here before we get going. We'd had this discussion about Doctor Who and whether Doctor Who, feature films of Doctor Who and so forth and so on. Everybody always comes up with interesting tidbits. Dave Stromanger wrote us and said, sorry to bring up Doctor Who again, but there have actually been 2 theatrical movies, Doctor Who and the Daleks, or Daleks, whatever you want, in 1965, and Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD in 1966. 50 years ago. Both of them starred Peter Cushing as the Doctor, but they are their own entities. They are not part of the ongoing television continuity. Fascinating. I had no idea. Did you know that?
First of all, thank you for that letter, and second of all, get a job.
I had no idea. No, that's interesting. Peter Cushing played Doctor Who in 2 standalone Doctor Who movies.
That is cool.
But obviously was not enough to launch a theatrical phenomenon around the world.
It was not, because Doctor Who is weird. I don't get it.
That was 11 years before he showed up in the Star. What was that thing? No,
Star Trek.
Some star thing. Anyway, we got a book this week just to make mention of real quickly too. A book, The Attitude Era. It's a WWE thing. This is essentially this is from the good people at DK Press. Anyway, it's just basically a huge book on all your favorite wrestlers from this particular era, and obviously a lot of the women as well. We got see here, a lot of full color stuff. You got drawings, artwork of costumes. It's just basically, if you love wrestling, if you're a WWE fan and you just can't get enough, this is your coffee table book. This is what you set out when people come over, and you expect them to actually pay attention to it. But anyway, it's a nice big spanking wrestling coffee table book, The Attitude Era. I can't exactly say that I opened this and just went nuts, but The Rock is all over this thing, and he's like the man now.
I love him. He's great. He's awesome. He really is.
But you realize, just when we were all moaning and groaning about a remake of Escape from New York, now suddenly much more possible is a remake of Big Trouble in Little China.
I know.
With thanks to The Rock, who wants to play the part, and I heard that and I thought, that sounds like it. It sounds like it would work, but I don't feel good about it.
No,
I don't want that movie remade.
No,
if it had to be remade,
it's a cult film.
But he's the guy. You know what I mean? I suddenly see that movie in my head. I can see it. I can be like, oh my gosh, you remake it with him.
But why do you want that to be like another?
I don't.
$175 million.
I don't want it.
Rock thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Forbidden Planet, whichever one he did, Treasure Island, whatever the hell it was called.
Horrible.
I forgot.
Yeah,
Who cares?
I can see it, but I don't want it. It feels like it sort of makes sense, but I don't want it. Does that sound schizophrenic?
Yes.
Anyway.
You're out of your mind.
So we also have a couple of giveaways.
Giveaways?
A couple of giveaways later on the show. Going to make mention of those later.
That's outrageous. That is outrageous.
Yes, it is. It's extraordinary, actually, is what it is. And listen, we need listener mail and Vox boxes. So by all means, go ahead and send those in to us at gods@digigods.com. Anything you want to ask us, just fire away. Listener mail and Vox boxes, gods@digigods.com. No, none at all. None at all. And then got another little listener mail tidbit here. Not really a listener mail tidbit. It's like a news tidbit, but I think this is worth mentioning. And I don't know that. I think I made. Did I? Well, anyway, Fox is going to be the first studio to create all their movies in high dynamic range Ultra HD for home viewing. Did you hear about this? I think I mentioned this on the
Don't
the
get
Facebook
it.
page.
Don't like it.
This was reported in the Hollywood Reporter. High dynamic range is viewed by many Hollywood tech leaders as the key feature to create a noticeable picture advancement for viewers.
I mean, seriously, honestly, how much? Look, how much better is Casablanca going to get? Are you going to be able to shine your shoes on Casablanca?
Well, this is basically what we're doing here is 4K. So everybody's looking down the line. The 3D television thing didn't happen, so now everybody's like, "Oh, 4K TV." But it's like, do we really need 4K content? But
no.
Fox, who has not been exactly, burning the industry down with their amazing Blu-rays, they just haven't. Fox is kind of like they do the bare minimum, but they're like, nope, we're gonna rock it. We're gonna rock everything in 4K.
You know what?
It's interesting.
Well, first of all, the rest of the industry is looking at that and thinking, if this does well, maybe we'll consider the possibility of getting on board.
Fox.
So right now you've got one studio. Now, again, obviously Fox owns the license to a lot of other movies that weren't originally Fox.
Yeah.
So it's not just Fox movies. But still, I think I don't know, man. I mean, look, nobody loves packaged media more than me. Nobody wants to see it continue forever and ever more than I do.
Yeah.
But that being said, it feels a little grasping at straws, I've got to say.
I completely concur.
No, you don't.
I do. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to come of it. I'm still not completely on the 4K bandwagon, but anyway. Mark, let's talk about some new movies.
Movies?
New movies.
What are movies?
New movies? I'm going to talk about a movie called Serena, which is a fascinating movie to talk about right out of the gate, because this, look, hey, come on, Mark, give it up.
Yes, sir.
We have got a movie here that's got Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence.
It's a must-win.
They've been in 2 pictures together.
Automatic winner.
Oscar-winning pictures, both of them, back-to-back from
winner.
David O. Russell. They were both nominated for Best Picture. This is directed by Susanna Bier, who won an Academy Award. Amazing Danish director. She's also an Academy Award recipient. Can't lose, right?
Automatic
Serena?
winner. Automatic winner.
Totally. Rocket.
No?
No.
It didn't?
No.
Wait. It's got Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence, and nobody saw it?
And
Nobody
directed
cared?
by Susanna Bier.
How does that happen?
This is the saddest thing ever. Basically, this movie sat on the shelf for like a year and a half because no one wanted to release it. Now, you have to ask yourself, wait, if every studio in town saw a movie directed by Susanna Bier with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence, you put those 2 names above, why? How do you conceivably not think you're going to make money out of that? And the reason is because it doesn't make any sense. It is. This is just a stillborn, misbegotten mess, top to bottom. I can see how somebody thought the concept would be workable, but I can see how somebody thought that this would be some kind of old-fashioned, East of Eden-y, kind of giant-y, James Dean-y, epic period romance monstrosity. And that's kind of what it is, except it just doesn't. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Essentially here you've got Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence are newlyweds who are trying to, this is like a 19th century story, they're trying to, build a timber empire. So it's a little bit in the giant thing with the oil, and then somehow it just gets into this kind of like hidden past thing and revelations and complications, and it just lumbers along in the most disjointed way possible. Part of me feels like all they needed to do was just get a great editor, do the Jaws thing, right? Jaws was a mess until Verna Fields got hold of it, and and Terms of Endearment was a mess until they got that thing re-edited. It feels like there had to be a way of getting a really great editor to step onto this thing and say, you know what, with about like a week worth of reshoots, I could make this a pretty great movie. Unfortunately, because this is an independently financed film, the infrastructure and the know-how to do something like that was apparently not there. So that said, it is really unfortunate, but if you're a fan of the actors and you want to see how they can actually not be amazing in a film that is otherwise loaded with production value and good intentions, you might want to check it out. Magnolia finally grabbed this thing, and I just don't know. It's just really unfortunate. It's terribly unfortunate in every conceivable way.
Wow. So did you like it? Wait, here's the thing. This movie called The Squeeze. This thing is terrible. It is misbegotten. It is a silly little thriller. You want to know what this thriller is about?
What's it about?
It's about this gambler who meets somebody he wants to do business with. He sees his potential as a guy who can deal in high stakes matches. Right?
Yeah.
Who is he? A golfer.
That's pretty awesome.
Wow. So this notorious gambler,
I get it, the squeeze, because
he sees a golfer and says, "You know what? I want you to gamble with me."
It's about squeezing the golf club because you got to no.
I don't know what that means. So now I'm just saying that this waste of time. You know it's bad when there are 3 blurbs on the back of the DVD box.
Yeah.
One blurb is a wonderful golf movie because it's so authentic. Phil Mickelson. The other one is a fun movie. The golf elements are so real. Jack Nicklaus.
Oh, that's great.
These are the blurbs. These are the positive blurbs.
That's fantastic.
And best of all, if you like gambling, golf in Las Vegas, you'll love this movie. Steve Wynn, chairman, Wynn Industries, noted film critic Steve Wynn from Steve Wynn Industries. Okay, so
awesome.
The Squeeze is terrible.
That's awesome.
Also terrible is this crazy little Judd Nelson, Tom Sizemore thing. Now, when it's got Tom Sizemore, you know it's basically over.
Called
Private Number.
Didn't we have 2 of him, two Tom Sizemore movies last week or the week before?
Did we?
Yeah, it seems like he's just working his butt off. He must have boat payment.
You could.
Must have
This is it's about this alcoholic writer, and he's trying to finish his novel, and he gets these phone calls, and they're very mysterious. He tries to trace them. It leads to a bunch of dead ends. He's trying to figure out who is haunting him via phone calls. He starts to kind of lose his grip on reality. So it's a bit of a mystery. It's very Hitchcockian, except for the fact that it was not directed by Alfred Hitchcock. It was directed by some guy named Lazriel Lyson. I guess rhymes with bison.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't know. It's just, you know what? This thing just piles on plot twist after plot twist, and you don't feel anything for this writer. You have no even insight into the writing process necessarily. You know, it's very generic, and I would definitely pass on Private Number. However, even better is Tina Turner's Private Dancer. That I would definitely recommend.
Oh, yeah.
Pass on Private Number. Go ahead and pick up Private Dancer.
Debug is one of these genre films that pops out of Canada every so often these days. There are a lot of these kind of mid-level sci-fi / action / thriller films that feel like just sort of barely second-tier stuff that an American studio would do, but they're all financed out of Canada, and they're not terrible for the most part. I mean, they have good production value, and they mostly go straight to video. Some get kind of a theatrical release. Anyway, this one's called Debug, directed by David Hewlett. Stylish director, should be doing some more interesting stuff. Pretty decent cast. It includes Jason Momoa, the man who will be Aquaman, along with Adam Butch.
That's lame. I'm not buying him.
You're not buying him as Aquaman?
He's too. Hang on, I have to sneeze. Wait, don't stop the recording.
I won't. Go ahead, sneeze. Let it go. Let it loose. Let it loose, man.
Lost it.
You lost it. Okay. You know. There we go.
He's too.
That's great. You know
Wait,
what?
Did my sneeze just knock over a book or something?
I don't know. It
What was
knocked over
that?
something. I think it. Anyway.
Okay, the point being is that
Anyway.
Jason, you know what? He's all part of like Warner Brothers' little like, you know, all our superhero films have to be badass thing,
Yeah.
which I think is ridiculous.
Well, whatever.
But that's-
Anyway, Debug is basically kind of a cross between Alien and 2001-ish. I know that's really high praise, and it's not that good, but the idea is you got this big space freighter, and there's a bunch of hackers on it, and they wind up being at odds with a rather evil computer AI system, and they have to defeat it. So it's kind of like if HAL were the alien, if that makes any sense. You know what? It's stylish. It's not bad. They make the best of a very limited budget, and it's well acted. I think David Hewlett, you did good. It's a good resume piece. Not a brilliant film, but it's good enough. So let's see what you got next. And then we also have a thing called The Duff, which is on Blu-ray and DVD. It's a Blu-ray DVD combo set, along with Ultraviolet, for those who care. You know, the best thing about this is Ken Jeong, who just somehow makes everything funny that has no business being funny.
He's awesome.
Isn't he the best?
He really is.
No, this is one of those kind of high school coming of age comedies that appear to never get old. Anyway, it's about a girl played by Mae Whitman who earns the nickname Duff. You know what Duff stands for, Mark?
I believe that means like the dumb, ugly friend or something.
Designated ugly fat friend.
Yeah. That was me. That was me in school. I was the male version of that.
So anyway, this is one of those. It's a little bit like Mean Girls, and you know, she's got to get the high school jock stud guy to sort of help her out with this unfortunate label. Ken Jeong is very funny. It's not great. It's okay, serviceable for its target audience. The weird thing is, this thing is being released this week on DVD, and this coming Friday, it's being released in theaters.
Interesting.
Isn't that unusual and strange?
It's strangely strange.
I know that because I'm on Film Week on Friday, and it was on our rundown, and I had to raise my hand in class and say, "Excuse me, teacher, this is being released on. We're covering this on our podcast already."
What?
Do we have to add it to the ridiculously huge? Do we have to talk about this in addition to the Jurassic World and everything else that's opening on Friday? Which I haven't seen yet. You haven't seen yet either, but we're both.
I'm supposed to. I might bust my tail to get down to where is it? The ArcLight or something?
Yeah, something like that.
You'll see it.
And then also we have Focus. Now, Focus is that Will Smith film with Margot Robbie, which is significant because it has a romantic liaison connection between the two of them, and no one makes a big deal that it's interracial, which is kind of a refreshing thing that you can have an interracial connection in a movie, and people don't go, "Why aren't you making a big deal of it?" You know what? Because Will Smith is awesome and Margot Robbie is hot, and I'm sorry, that's how it is. Race is not even an issue in this movie. Thank goodness. However, you know what? I was with this movie for a little bit, and I was thinking, this is starting to be an interesting take on the con thing. You know, he's like an expert con man, and he puts these teams together to pull off these elaborate cons. And she wants in on the thing. She wants to be, part of his team. But he they have a thing going, and then he just cuts them all loose because we got the money now, and we got to let this whole thing dissolve before let the heat blow over. And then you flash forward a number of years, and it all kind of starts up again. And I started thinking, you know what, either this is trying to reinvent the con game movie, or it's making all the same stupid mistakes that they always make. And sure enough, it went and it went there. And it started doing all the same dumb stuff that I hate in these movies. If you just assume out of the gate that everybody's lying, you always figure these movies out. And that's what I do. I just say to myself, first frame, everyone's lying. And sure enough, everyone was lying. And then there you go. So unfortunately, it starts off well, but then it can't close the deal. It's too bad. But stylish, beautifully directed, very nicely acted. I just wish the script and the story were better. That's a Blu-ray, DVD, and Ultraviolet combo set for Focus with Will Smith.
Wade, Joseph Rubin was the director who had his moments.
Oh, man. What
True Believer with James Woods and Robert Downey Jr., Dreamscape.
He was there along with Curtis Hanson. They were kind of in the mix doing the thing at the
right.
Right. He did The Stepfather, and Curtis Hanson did To Hand the Rocks the Cradle, and they were kind of dueling for the next big thing.
I was a fan of Dreamscape. I was a fan of True Believer.
Yeah.
Not quite a fan of The Stepfather. Anyway, a couple years ago, he did a film called Penthouse North. And it was actually so bad that it wound up sitting on a shelf for 2 years, and it wound up on Lifetime, of all places. It stars Michael Keaton. Now, this is before Michael Keaton was about to become the new second act in life, Michael Keaton, with Birdman, and now he's shooting The Founder, the story of Ray Kroc. He did this Penthouse North, which wound up being so horrible that it was retitled Blindsided, and it went straight to the television.
No kidding.
Straight to television. It's really silly. Michelle Monaghan plays a
I like her.
Blonde.
But she just cannot. She cannot.
No.
She can't pull it off.
She had that moment where she's going to become the new thing, the new it girl, but
Yeah.
it didn't. Well, here it comes. Oh, it didn't quite happen.
You know who else had that moment was what's her name from the Legends of the Fall, and then she went on to be the new Sabrina. What was her name?
Oh,
You know-
like not Carly for
Were you going to say Carly Fiorina?
Carly
You were
Fiorina.
gonna
Yes.
say- yeah,
No,
Car-
Claire Forlani.
No, well, she was another one.
Yeah.
Claire Forlani. And I really liked her.
I know she's cute.
She's just great. No. What's her
Legends
name?
of the Fall.
No, yeah, she was the new Sabrina. She was stepping into the whole.
Was she? I'm looking up Legends of the Fall now. Was she in Legends of the Fall?
She was in Legends of the Fall.
How old are we? Julie Ormond?
Yeah, Julie Ormond. She was like the next big thing. She was like, oh my gosh, Julie Ormond. Hey, Julie Ormond, look at, who, bleh. And then she was gone.
Well, here, ladies and gentlemen, Michelle Moynihan plays
Yeah.
a blind photojournalist. She was blinded in Iraq, and now she lives in this huge New York penthouse, of course, because, of course, all blind journalists can afford New York penthouses. Actually, she has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Rich boyfriend. Anyway, so this criminal, he's looking for a hidden fortune and diamonds, comes into the penthouse, and all sorts of crazy things happen. So I'd pass on Blindsided. Totally silly. Also silly, I'm tired of the found footage situation. Tired of the found footage movies. The only recent found footage movie that I can recommend of the last couple of years, I'm going to say it, is Europa Report. I really enjoyed it. Did you see Europa
Yeah,
Report?
I did.
Liked that one. That was
Meh.
good. It was found footage-y.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of found footage, did you see they just released a couple days ago
another Rec film from Mexico?
No, 3 minutes.
Rec 12, The Reckoning?
No,
Okay.
3 minutes of The Martian, which is the Matt Damon film. Matt Damon, Jessica Chastain, based on the book.
Yeah.
No, they released. Now it's not a trailer though. Not a trailer because it is Matt Damon's character in the movie. But him and Jessica Chastain, Kate Mara, Kristen Wiig, believe it or not, they're on this mission going to Mars.
Okay.
And then Matt Damon gets stranded.
Okay.
It's based on a book. So anyway, instead of giving us a trailer, they gave us 3 minutes of Matt Damon's character introducing us to the crew of the ship that's going to Mars.
Have you watched the first Did you see Aloha, by the way?
No, because it was terrible.
Did you see they released like the first 8 minutes online to say, no, you forget the critics, this is good. And you watch the first 8 minutes, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's terrible. It's really not good. It's really not good.
I like how they try to justify Emma Stone's casting. No, she's 1/52nd Asian.
She's like a fourth. What is she? She's like 1/4 Hawaiian, 1/4 Swedish, and like 1/4 Mexican? I don't know. It's like some weird Chinese. She's like part Hawaiian,
Stop
part
it.
Chinese,
Just
and part.
stop it. Just stop it.
It reminds me of Jennifer Jones playing Asian in Love Is a Many Splendored thing. It's like
Mickey Rooney.
Oh, my
Rooney
God.
it up. Anyway, Project Almanac is crappy. Okay, moving on.
Mystical Ridery.
Project
I protest.
The worst.
Oh my God.
Now, Jurassic World opens on Friday. As we say, I might bust my butt to go see that tomorrow. But in the meantime, we have Back to the Jurassic.
Oh yeah,
which is it's an animated film
it's
with a bunch of
cute-ish.
purple dinosaurs, and Melanie Griffith is in it, Jane Lynch, William Baldwin, Stephen Baldwin, Rob Schneider.
Cute-ish.
Yes, it's for kids.
Yeah, it's cute-ish.
It's all CGI stuff
Yeah, it's cute-ish.
from the good
It's
folks
all right.
at Alchemy.
Yeah, it's fine.
By the way, it's family approved by the Dove organization.
Yeah, they slapped like 90 of their logos on this thing. I don't know. It's. I guess the more you put on it, the more family friendly it is. Speaking of, had you seen the teaser thing for the new Disney Pixar thing, the Schnooky dinosaur? What's it called? The
Good Dinosaur.
Yeah.
That thing was a misbegotten project too.
It actually looks good. I mean, what they show, it's not much, but it's got a nice vibe to it. What if the meteorite had missed the Earth and not made the dinosaurs extinct? Interesting concept.
Well, there was a whole thing about what happened with that movie, and the director got fired, and blah blah blah.
So, Foreclosure with Michael Imperioli is a film of our times. It's funny. Vincent Lindon, the French actor, is in a movie that Tim and I just recently did the commentary for, and we said we didn't mean to make fun of him or anything, but he's sort of a schlubby guy in the movie, and we spent a substantial part of the commentary saying, but he is a really good actor. I mean, even though it's very easy to sort of dismiss the character and dismiss him, but he's a really good actor. I kid you not. Not 24 hours after we did that, more than 24 hours, about a week later. It was like 7 days later, he wins Best Actor at Cannes.
Because you
He's Best
guys,
Actor at Cannes. We should have done the commentary a week later, and we could have said, but he just won Best Actor at Cannes.
You guys are
anyway,
prescient.
He won it for a film basically playing a guy struggling with unemployment who just cannot get a job to save his life. And film of our times. And that brings us to Foreclosure with Michael Imperioli, who's been making a career out of doing all kinds of hard liquor ads, being the cool guy who drinks the cool stuff. Anyway, Foreclosures is not something that I think people necessarily want to see in a movie. But in terms of a movie that deals with it in a dramatic way and dealing with, having it like people in your family dying and then, banks taking over and doing all the things that happen with foreclosed properties, all of the legal ins and outs and the quagmire that involves. This is actually really well researched. And it doesn't let all of that overwhelm the drama. It lets it sort of generate the drama. And it's really... It's really well acted, and then it winds up kind of going into a bit of a genre-y place that it really shouldn't necessarily go. So it's a mixed bag, I think. Well meant, pretty well done. But Michael Imperioli, I think is a really just solid actor. He's just so credible. So I'll hang my hat on him in just about anything.
He's not going anywhere. Really, Michael Imperioli, is he going to become like a...
No, but he's a really solid actor. You just put him into any movie.
I have something solid.
Oh, thank you. He's really solid. You just put him into anything, and somehow he grounds it. He just makes it feel more authentic and earthy and New Yorky. See You in Valhalla. These movies are really kind of a dime a dozen, these things. The one reason that I had kind of a problem with this is because the word Valhalla... I used to associate it with Norse mythology, right? Thor and the whole thing,
right.
And killing. Now all I can think of is Mad Max Fury Road, because that's where they all want to go. They all want to go to Valhalla, because Immortan Joe promises them if they die in battle, they'll go to Valhalla and he'll meet them there. That's all I can think of now. So I see the See You in Valhalla, and I start thinking of Mad Max Fury Road, and then,
which, by the way, needs to be doing better. Let's all go see it.
It's doing huge overseas.
Well, it better.
Massive.
Really?
Oh, my gosh. It's just killing it overseas. Not killing it so much here. And I don't really understand that. Do you have a theory about that?
Well, I have a feeling that they waited too long between sequels because I think to kids who were like... First of all, it's a hard R.
True.
Right?
It's a really hard R.
And also, I have to say that if you're 20 years old, Mad Max is kind of your parents' thing. And nobody wants to spend their Saturday night $15
seeing Star Wars.
No, but Star Wars to kids is like the prequels to them is Star Wars. I hate to say that, but it really is true. The prequels, they love Jar Jar Binks because they were like 12 when those prequel movies came out, and they loved them because Jar Jar's funny and they're space people. And then now it's 15 years later, and now they're 27, and that's what they know of Star Wars.
Yeah,
we're doomed.
Well, anyway. This is about a woman who, See You in Valhalla, it's about a woman who returns home after 4 years, and her brother's passed away, and she's got to reconnect with her family and friends and blah, 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 and it's all kinds of awkwardness and backstories and revelations and the usual. These movies they're a dime a dozen, they come out all the time, and the question is there an audience for this? I don't know. It's a very, very sketchy cast. These are people whose names you don't know: Sarah Hyland, Steve Howie, Brett Harrison.
Sarah Hyland's she's the girl from Modern Family.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
even I know that.
Walk up to anybody on the street and go, Sarah Hyland. Do you think they know?
Yes,
they don't.
Yes,
She's not a household name.
She's the biggest name in the world.
She's not a household name.
There's no one bigger than her.
Conor O'Farrell,
she's the biggest star in Hollywood.
Michael Weston, Emma Bell. Who these are not household names.
How dare you?
Is what I'm saying. It's not like, oh my gosh, Sarah Hyland, name above the title. No,
she's the best.
So and she's the biggest name in this thing. So it's I don't know. If you like these kinds of movies, it's perfectly fine.
It's perfectly serviceable.
There's nothing terribly wrong with it. It is what it is. Let's see. Let me grab this thing here. This thing that came with this bag. Mark, I want you to have. Well, it's not a bag. It's
a SpongeBob. No, it's a poster. Not a bag.
Whatever it is. I don't really know what it is. It's not really a poster. You're supposed to do something with it. You're supposed to fold it or something with it. I don't.
You know what? Actually, it's a poster. You know what I bet it is. I bet it's a book cover, like a classic high school.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's been a long time since you've been in high school, and me too.
Yeah.
But they were about this big, and you would take the book, and you know how to fold it, and you'd write stuff. Come on, it's a book cover.
Okay, so they sent us a book cover along with the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water 3D. You know what? I am not a SpongeBob fan, but I will say, and a certain acquaintance of ours actually was involved in this film, so I'll tell you later. But you know what? It's actually really well done. So I can't say that I enjoy anything to do with SpongeBob. I just don't connect to the whole concept or the world. And I haven't watched enough of the television show really to sort of understand anything that happens in it. It just sort of grates on me all the time. But that being said, I'm sure if you love the whole SpongeBob thing, this is I mean, they really amped it up. They sort of elevated it. They raised their game. And they did the animation right, and they did the songs right, and they made it a feature. And son of a gun, they actually there's feature material in this thing. It doesn't feel like an over elongated, played out episode of a kids TV show. It actually feels like they found something richer and deeper to it. So that's out there on a Blu-ray 3D, Blu-ray, DVD, and digital HD combo set. The digital HD, of course, is again ultraviolet. So this thing is just fully loaded. It may be one of the last 3D things that comes out. By the way, I thought it was really interesting when I went to the screening on the Disney lot the other day of Inside Out. Which is amazing, by the way. But they did not show it to us in 3D.
Good.
And the last time I was in that theater, it was for John Carter in 3D. And I'm sure that the El Capitan all media screening on Saturday will be 3D. However, I was rather stunned that they had a 2D screening of it on the lot.
Good.
I was surprised.
I'm pleasantly so. Hopefully,
I was surprised.
Anyway,
this is there's fun stuff in here. There's the bonus features and the whole thing, and the whole idea is that SpongeBob has to save the world. Blah 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 blah. Burger Beard, played by Antonio Banderas, is a pretty funny villain. So good for the kids.
Anyway, Always Woodstock is an innocuous, meaningless little romantic comedy. It stars Allison Miller. She's this girl who's living in the big city. She works in the music industry, but when, of course, she gets fired from her job and her fiancé is cheating on her, she goes back to her tiny little town of Woodstock and finds her true self. She finds her true self. Very bland, really generic. And just really not worth it. Always Woodstock. I got to say, the cast is okay. It's got Katie Sagal in it, and Jason Ritter, Brittany Snow. Rumor Willis is in it, the champion of Dancing with the Stars. Can't beat that.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's pretty crappy stuff. There's plenty of other music based, like kind of song Save Your Life. Go watch that again instead of watching Always Woodstock. Matt LeBlanc did a movie, which means that we don't care because I don't know what this guy does. Lovesick is his latest straight-to DVD nothing. It's got Ali Larter in it.
He's working, though. You got
Chevy Chase. He doesn't have to work.
I know.
Why doesn't he do good stuff? If you don't have to work, seriously, he doesn't have to work. He could live to be 500 and he would not have to work a day in his life. So why do this?
True.
Why do the story of an elementary school principal and his wonderful life?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I just don't get it. Anyway, so he plays this guy Charlie, and he's this kind of lonely heart kind of a guy. And then every time he falls in love with somebody, he goes clinically insane. His brain changes. So he meets this dancer played by Ali Larter, who's really perfect for him. And then it's this really silly little. It's actually one of those comedies that trades like mental illness and makes it funny.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like Silver Linings Playbook. Obviously this is not Silver Linings Playbook, but it's the same point, which is that you take mental illness and put it in a romantic comedy. So somehow mental illness is hilarious.
It is sometimes.
Not to me, because I'm mentally ill myself.
Of course. The Poltergeist of Borley Forest.
See, that's horrible. That's just horrible.
Here's what's interesting about this.
The word poltergeist is gigantic on the cover, and then the rest of it, of Borley Forest. It's really small.
It's super small. I think they were probably banking that the Poltergeist, they could kind of piggyback on the remake of Poltergeist, which has tanked so hard. And there's a film definitely where I think the Mad Max concept that you just brought up, that holds, where that's your parents' film. The original Poltergeist is a treasured film for our generation. but I don't know anybody who has any fondness for that film who is, who's born like post 1990.
They didn't even know it. It wasn't a classic.
No.
It was just, frankly, I bet if we watched that movie today, we would think it's like cute. We would think it's quaint. In the day of Saw, it's quaint.
It was the same year as E.T.
Oh.
That was what made it, a thing. It was the other Spielberg-y film, right? It was the one that we knew that he directed, even though Tobe Hooper took credit for it. Anyway, The Poltergeist of Borley Forest, which is not going to be able to piggyback on it. Here's what's interesting. This is otherwise a completely regular, straight-to-video horror film. Nothing terribly remarkable about it, except in the concept. It's trying to blend the ghost genre with the slasher genre. So you got a bunch of kids who, they go out into the woods, and you're like, oh, great, Freddy or Michael Myers or, Leatherface or somebody's going to come and start picking them off one by one. But it's not a slasher. It's a ghosty thing. And so there's that whole, what have you disturbed in the ecto ether that
The ecto-ether?
The ecto-ether that somehow will haunt everybody. So it's like a haunted slasher film or a slashery ghost film. And for that, I'll give him a little bit of props. It's an interesting idea, interesting twist. The film still, it's strictly genre, strictly for people who like that stuff.
I have no respect for it because of the name.
The Poltergeist of Borley Forest.
Poltergeist of Borley Forest.
Kevin Costner just keeps on trucking. McFarland USA is a straight-up live-action Disney film. We get about one or two of these a year, and they're trying to be, inspirational, usually sports dramas or human interest dramas. And this is actually a true story, but it's kind of the same stand and deliver. What are all the rest of those movies? Just every underdog sports movie ever made. Every underdog movie ever made, every movie that, even Stand Deliver, it's still basically a sports film. It's just intellectual sports.
Yes. Disney, look, it's funny how these Disney sports films, these live-action Disney, they feel very machine-tooled and formulaic, but they're actually not that bad.
They're not terrible. I mean, the problem is so many of these, and they're always about the white coach who helps the, and the team is like cool runnings too. It's just like, people who these are like Latino kids who are long distance runners, and Kevin Costner is the white coach who's going to help them realize their dreams. And there is a slightly patronizing feel to some of these movies that just recycles the more of them that we get. But you know what? Honestly, everything else about this movie is perfectly wonderful, and the characters are endearing, and it's formulaic, but it's heartfelt. And you sort of can't fault it for being that, because that's what the audience wants. So this is a Blu-ray and digital HD set. The HD is, of course, Disney Movies Anywhere, which is their version of Ultraviolet, which I have to say, I've looked at, better than Ultraviolet.
What?
The Disney Movies Everywhere is the way these things should be doing. Disney Movies Anywhere, I should say. Disney Movies Anywhere.
What?
It's the implementation that the others should follow. I don't think anybody's going to throw Ultraviolet under the bus to adopt the Disney system because they don't want to pay Disney royalties. But at some point, everybody really needs to kind of put their heads together and just say, could we standardize this whole cloud anywhere format thing, and I hopefully this will wind up being the Blu-ray, and Ultraviolet will be folded in some seamless way and won't become extinct like HD DVD.
What?
Anyway, bonus features. Kevin Costner, along with the real character, Coach Jim White, and some of the real members of the team are they all show up and kind of share their reminiscences. There's a music video and a featurette, and obviously some deleted and superfluous stuff. Then you have an interesting film here called Know How. This is such a fascinating movie, and I don't think it's totally successful. It's almost more of an experiment than anything else. A bunch of foster kids who had done a kind of quasi-musical production. They'd written their own experiences into kind of like a stage performance art production thing. This is the movie of that. So it's a musical. It's literally these kids who are actually foster kids acting in a movie that they themselves co-wrote, featuring songs and raps that they themselves also wrote about their experience. It's raw. It's experimental. It's not as entertaining as you might hope because some of these kids are not good actors. They do a very bad job of playing themselves. But some of them are an absolute revelation. And I would wager money that at least 2 or 3 of these kids, including the guy who plays like the big drug dealer in this thing, will go on to huge careers. Will go on to have like serious, regular acting careers. So I mean, it's you can't help but sort of just pull for this movie. It's called Know How, and this is from First Run Features, and I find it praiseworthy, enormously praiseworthy, even if it's not great. It's just really a fascinating experiment, and I think it's people should check it out.
Wade.
So there you go.
Should we do some news, by the way? Is there any news
yeah,
going on?
hit us with some news, and then I'll do the giveaway.
Let me see. What's going on? Ex Machina, Wade. Did you see that?
Oh, I have not watched it yet. Dying to see it.
You can see it on July 14th on Blu-ray. It's coming out.
Cool.
We know Alex Garland. We love him. Great writer.
He's
now a terrific director. He the man.
He is kind of the man.
Let me see. What else we got going on? By the way, I have to say, Twilight Time announced their September, October films, Wade. Here's what we got. Here's Twilight Time announced their September, October slate.
Let's hear 'em.
At Close Range.
Okay.
Fat City.
Cool.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
John Carpenter's Vampires. Not my favorite John Carpenter movie, but John Carpenter's Vampires. Black Widow, the 87 one with, what's her name, Teresa Russell? No.
Ooh.
Right? That one?
Yeah.
Devil in a Blue Dress with Denzel, my favorite of all time. And that's kind of it, actually.
That's good.
Yeah, it's not
Devil in
bad.
Blue Dress is a great film because that's the film that introduced Don Cheadle to the world.
Yeah.
Remember he was Mouse in that thing with the teeth and the whole thing with the and the little twang. He was great in that, and people are like, "Who is that guy? He's great."
By the way, can I say that? Have you seen the trailer for The Walk?
The Walk. Oh my gosh,
the Zemeckis film.
The Walk.
The Robert Zemeckis film about the guy who tightrope walked across the Twin Towers.
Oh no, I haven't seen the trailer. How is it?
Really good.
Does
Could
it
be
look
good.
good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Although Joseph Gordon-Levitt has a French accent for some reason. I mean, the guy was French, but
Oh, that's right. But yeah.
but
yeah.
he plays him. But that's a little weird.
Fascinating.
But you can tell that Zemeckis is kind of like he's
the Man on Wire story.
correct.
Yeah, which is a great doc.
Oh, it's a great doc. But you can tell that like Zemeckis, he's working some stuff out. He's trying some new tricks. He's trying to be fresh and new and fantastic.
Good.
Yes.
About time. Throw
Yes.
that all that mocap crap away. Exactly. Get rid of that. And here's the giveaway. So we got a couple of films. We got 3 copies of each. 3 copies of each. So by time date stamped. Send us your emails. We have to receive them by the email has to be stamped somewhere, time date stamped by June 12th, Friday, June 12th. So get that to us as soon as you can after you hear the show. And we're giving away 3 copies of The Barber with Scott Glenn and The Squeeze, which Mark talked about earlier. So,
Hey, I said bad things about earlier, but you know what? Look, what can I say?
Look, it's a free movie. You know what I'm saying?
It is a free movie.
It's a free movie. So we got The Squeeze and we got The Barber. And Scott Glenn in The Barber we talked about a few weeks ago. Scott Glenn always good for a few yucks, right, Mark? The Barber is a Blu-ray and The Squeeze is a DVD. You can only choose one. So go ahead and send us emails to gods@digigods.com and put in the subject either Barber, B-A-R-B-E-R, or Squeeze, S-Q-U-E-E-Z-E. And we will randomly select 3 very lucky people to receive The Barber on Blu-ray and The Squeeze on DVD. So Squeeze and Barber in the subject line, and send us those by the 12th, and we will, over the weekend, we will select some winners and send your DVDs on over to you. Mark, let's do music.
Let's do music. Now, Wade, very interesting experiment here in Lost Songs, the Basement Tapes continued. During Bob Dylan's mid-'60s Basement Tapes era, he wrote a bunch of lyrics that he never put to music. And now, years later, he has given the blessing to people like Elvis Costello and Taylor Goldsmith and Marcus Mumford to take these Dylan lyrics that were never set to music and set them to music. And it's totally interesting. You look at these great Bob Dylan lyrics. You compare the song that, let's say, Elvis Costello did versus what you think Bob Dylan might have done had he set these lyrics to music. And it's a great experiment. Really cool stuff. I have to say, I was very taken with it. T-Bone Burnett, of course, who's always involved in this kind of stuff, shows up as the producer and musician in it. And so, Really good stuff. I would recommend if you're if you're like a deep dish music lover, I would recommend Lost Songs, the Basement Tapes Continued. I would not recommend the Backstreet Boys Show 'Em What You're Made Of, which it turns out is nothing. The Backstreet Boys are big, but 2013 they came back. They had a world tour.
I could have been a Backstreet Boy. Did you know that?
You're a Backstreet Goy.
I could. Oh, it's a different thing?
Yes.
Oh, never mind.
Yes. Anyway, you got a bunch of stuff with you got a bunch of vintage stuff, vintage footage. You got a bunch of stuff them palling around and getting back together, and a bunch of stuff on stage. A little bit about their story, how they became superstars. They were obviously little kids when they first, not kids, but they were young when they started. Now, of course, they're much older. A lot of them married with children. How that's working out for them. But you know what? You've got to be a Backstreet Boy fan to even care, and I doubt you are. Now, Wade. The reason why I really recommend Slash live at the Roxy, September 25th, 2014, is not because I love Slash. And it's not because I love the Roxy, which is a legendary music venue here in L.A., but because, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, I played the Roxy.
I don't believe it.
I did. I
don't
had the video to prove it.
You have video to prove it?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I tried to show you the video, but you wouldn't listen.
Because I don't believe it. That's why.
You think I doctored the video? My band I have a band, which of course I've now quit.
Yeah.
But I have a band
You played the Roxy.
that played it was like an amateur band afternoon. It wasn't Friday night. It wasn't Saturday night at the Roxy.
Yeah.
It was Saturday afternoon at the Roxy. But our amateur band played at a amateur band event at the Roxy. It was very exciting.
My very dear friend.
You don't care about my story.
Not really. My very dear friend Natalie Chaidez, who I've known since film school, who most recently was showrunner on 12 Monkeys. Her daughter, Chloe, is lead singer of a band called Kitten, playing a sold-out show at the Troubadour.
I love the Troubadour. That's a great place to see a show.
And I remember this freaking little girl when she was like rocking her band when she was like 9. They're sitting there in their garage during grown-up parties and just killing it, and you just think, how can you do that? Anyway.
Anyway, well, Slash played
Amazing.
the Roxy. So, by the way, Slash and I have something in common. We've both played the Roxy. Now, he's played the Roxy.
Yeah.
I happen to play at the Roxy.
Yeah.
Totally different situation. But I did play the Roxy yesterday. It was very exciting, except when I screwed up. Anyway, so the Slash has an album out called World on Fire. It came out last year. It's not my favorite Slash album, but there's a lot of. He's got such great chops that it's at least worth it for the solos. So if you love Slash, or maybe you like the World on Fire album, check this out on Blu-ray. It looks good, sounds great, and there you go. Slash live at the Roxy, September 25th, 2014.
Rock and roll.
It is rock and roll.
Literally. All right, now that you've been all rock, I'm going to bring some culture back to the room.
Opera?
A bunch of stuff from Naxos. No, a lot of interesting stuff from Naxos. The classical stuff. It's a big pile of stuff. Let me go through this really quickly. If you're a fan of operettas, you will enjoy this import DVD of Der Tsarevich, the Tsarevich, otherwise known as by Franz Lehar, who just
I love Franz Lehar.
Sure you do. You love Franz Lehar, and you would know the music if you heard it. Anyway, this is an import, but it's a lovely performance of the Tsarevich, which I was unfamiliar from 5 years ago, from 2010, which I was unfamiliar with. It's not an operetta that I know, not particularly endearing story-wise, but the music's great.
Now, is an operetta a small opera?
Operetta like Babes in Toyland. Operetta. The De Fledermaus is an operetta.
Flo, it's a mouse.
Okay. Like Babes in Toyland. You've seen Babes in Toyland, right?
Sure, why not?
Sure. I mean, they're basically like they're halfway between a Broadway musical and an opera, if that makes any sense.
No.
They're sort of like the prelude to the modern Broadway musical is what they are. Before there was a Broadway.
Makes no sense.
Anyway. Yeah, you would know. Interesting Blu-ray here. The Debussy, the Preludes first book, or in French, Les Préludes Premier Livre. This is a music film with Daniel Barenboim. That's how they describe this, a music film with Daniel Barenboim. And it's very hard to describe, actually. But the idea behind it is that Debussy wanted his preludes to not be sort of public performances, but private performances. That's something that you should listen to at home in the privacy of your own home. So this is a really kind of a quasi-experimental film that attempts to create a more personal experience for listening to those. And you, of course, get Barenboim, who it's almost like an audiovisual performance art thing, but you also get Barenboim in concert, which kind of defeats the whole concept, but it's an interesting thing, and if you love Debussy and if you love Barenboim, it'll totally make sense to you. Prometheus, a film by Christopher Swan with performance by the Berlin Philharmonic, conducted by Abado Argerich. Completely unfamiliar with Argerich, but anyway, I'm assuming that the pianist here, Martha Argerich, is in some way a relative or a spouse. This is an interesting look at the Prometheus myth through 4 different works by 4 different composers: Beethoven, Liszt, Scriabin, and Luigi Nono. And obviously, I know the first 2, don't really know the second 2 very well, but the whole concept of Prometheus, which is very Frankenstein-y, is I kind of get what they're going for. So it's a little bit esoteric, but certainly, for the most part, decent music. Stravinsky's The Firebird, as choreographed by James Kudelka, in a film of The Firebird on Blu-ray by Barbara Willis-Sweet. This is interesting. It's a little more interpretive ballet than I'm accustomed to. This was performed along with the Kirov Orchestra. But still, the Firebird Suite is fantastic music. The staging, the dancing, a little bit too much for me, but it's all right. Herbert von Karajan, probably my favorite conductor of all time.
He's mine. Man, that guy's great. The way he conducts things.
Stop it.
Does the thing with the baton and
stop it.
Shakes his non-baton hand.
Stop it. He's the man.
Got a beard.
This is performances of Beethoven's 5th and 9th symphonies. If you have the Karajan cycle of Beethoven's symphonies, you understand it is the definitive. It's amazing. He did 2 of them. The original one, the older one, is the better one. And that's where they get the performances here from the 5th and the 9th. They are older performances of his, and they are superb. Absolutely amazing. It's from 1977 and 1966. And it's just great. I mean, what more can I tell you? You also get a bonus here, The Art of Conducting, which is a rehearsal of the 5th with Herbert von Karajan. Dinara Alieva in Moscow, with the Russian National Orchestra. Beautiful singing. Fantastic music. She does a whole lot of different stuff, everything from Offenbach to Bernstein and West Side Story, and even some stuff from My Fair Lady. She's a lovely voice. Dinara Alieva. I hadn't heard of her before, but I like her. I don't know if you know this, Mark, but they did Brokeback Mountain as an opera. Did you know that? Did you know that?
I'm gay and a cowboy.
In this beautiful red Blu-ray keep case, you find the opera of Brokeback Mountain performed for the Teatro Real in Madrid. And I got to tell you, it's weird, man. It's totally weird. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I like the movie, but it doesn't lend itself to opera. It's completely unhinged. It's very strange. Le Corsaire with the English National Ballet. Beautiful, beautiful performance. That's on Blu-ray. Can't complain about that. That's more traditional ballet, more my speed. The Two Gentlemen of Verona by Shakespeare is pretty great. This is not one that I'm all that terribly familiar with. But this is good. This is rock solid. So nice discovery here. This was performed at the by the Royal Shakespeare Company in 2014, and it's great. Maybe they should do a movie of it. Richard Strauss at the End of the Rainbow is a wonderful documentary. If you are not familiar with the man who wrote the theme to 2001. He wrote a lot more music, and this is a great documentary, just fantastic. It just goes into every nuance of his extraordinary life, and one of the most everyone knows his music, but nobody knows the man. Pretty great. Gustav Mahler's Symphonies 7 and 8 as director.
Are we still talking about these, by the way?
Yeah, I got.
Do we have real movies to talk about?
We just talked about a ton of real movies. First 40 minutes of the show were real movies. We'll get into a few other things here. We'll do more. We got tons of stuff. We got a gigantic pile of TV that we'll never get through. Probably have to do it next week. Gustav Mahler 7 and 8, conducted by Paavo Järvi and the Frankfurt Radio Symphony Orchestra. That's from C major. That is great. Those are just great symphonies and great conductor. The Richard Strauss Gala with a whole bunch of amazing people done in Dresden. This is a documentary that should go with the other Strauss documentary. I should have put them next to each other in the
You
pile.
really should have. You screwed up. You screwed up big time.
I messed it up. And then we got a couple of Salzburg festivals. If you like
Salisbury Steak?
Salzburg Festival opening concert from 2 different years. I didn't note down which years these are. Hold on. Never mind. It doesn't matter. It's great music. Daniel Barenboim shows up on one of these again, and just great music. Stravinsky, Bartok, Schubert, Strauss, wonderful stuff. And the Salzburg Festival, it's not like you see in The Sound of Music. That festival doesn't actually exist. And let's see. I'm trying to finish this up really quickly. Oh, Verdi. Verdi's Macbeth, directed by Dario Argento. Can you believe that?
That's a match made in somewhere.
Dario Argento doing an opera. It's weird.
Whatever keeps him from making movies.
But it kind of works, actually. It sort of works. Macbeth is just tweaked enough that it benefits from him. And then lastly, this really, really great Naxos Blu-ray, which is a Blu-ray audio disc, not video, Blu-ray audio, that just has a lot of overtures from great comedic operas. Barbara of Baghdad, Martha, Mignon. It's really good. It's really good. This is from the Royal Scottish National Orchestra. So if you just want that really pristine Blu-ray audio sound, that just kills it. All right. Mark, should we do foreign?
Yes.
Some good foreign stuff? Let me get the foreign up. All right. Here we go. Dziga Vertov, Mark.
Who?
Dziga Vertov. You never studied Dziga Vertov because you were a broadcast guy. They didn't shove that up your colon like they did with me. Dziga Vertov, one of the legendary silent film guys of all time. His name literally means spinning top. Obviously, not his real name. But he made one movie that is considered so phenomenally influential that they show it to film students the world over, and they all hate it. But they're all it's drilled into them that this is an influential film. And it is for many, many reasons. In 1929, he made Man with a Movie Camera. The Man with the Movie Camera is just a random stream of consciousness, quasi-documentary, experimental, avant-garde, surrealist, whatever you have. All of those things apply. This has been released before on DVD, but never on Blu-ray. The Blackhawk Films collection is now obviously working with Flicker Alley, and they have put this thing out on Blu-ray. And I'm going to tell you, as much as this thing annoyed me in film school, I'm kind of compelled by it seeing it again. I still don't think it's a very compelling film from a narrative standpoint, but from a style standpoint, a technique standpoint, especially in the age of digital editing, you look at this thing and you got to kind of go, that is really kind of cool. A lot of the stuff that he was doing 90 some odd years ago, almost 90 years ago, is amazing. Also included on this is Kino Eye, the film he made 5 years earlier in 1924, which is sort of where he is figuring out his whole exotic, unique approach to this stuff. And a couple of films that he made afterwards in the 1930s, Enthusiasm Symphony of the Donbass, and 3 Songs About Lenin, which is historically pretty significant, actually. It was made after Lenin died, and historically really an interesting artifact. But really, ultimately, what he's known for is The Man with the Movie Camera, and this is it. And it is a gorgeous, gorgeous transfer. It is a first-rate Blu-ray, and we can't say enough about it. So I would say for all silent film buffs, if you want a pull quote on this thing, for all silent film buffs, Flicker Alley's release of The Man with the Movie Camera is an absolute must-have for your collection.
What is that? Is that Man with a Camera? Give me that.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we'll never know.
No.
Okay. I do love that film, though, Man with a Camera.
See, you did see it.
Huh? I did see it.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention to you.
Oh, okay. It's fine.
I'm surfing the web.
Okay.
I'm waiting for you to stop talking about operas. What the hell are you talking about? Anyway, Wild Tales continues our little foreign bent here. Wild Tales, this is produced by Pedro and Agustin Almodovar. And you know what that means? That means it's going to be crazy. This is a big hit at Cannes last year.
But they didn't. Almodovar didn't direct it.
No. He just produced it. Him and the brother produced it. Yeah. Anyway, it's directed by an Argentine, and it's great. It was a big hit at Cannes
Directed by a teen?
An Argentine.
Oh, an Argentine.
An Argentinian.
Is that different from a regular teen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's an Argentine. Anyway, this thing is just delightful. It is so funny, and it's 6 standalone shorts, and they're all united by this one theme of like revenge. Everybody here wants to get revenge. There's injustice and betrayal and all that sort of stuff, or press pass. And this thing is just wild. It's really well directed, and the thing is just this weird lunatic fringe movie that just really took Cannes by storm. People loved it. Did well at Toronto also. I just think this thing is just absolutely crazy and fun. Wild Tales, nominated for Best Foreign Language Film last year. It's really good stuff. Wild Tales, very highly recommended. Not so highly recommended is So Bright Is the View. This is a Romanian film. Now, this is not really part of the Romanian New Wave. That sort of gone now. Actually,
I'm kind of over Romanian films. I can't see any more movies about people like reading dictionaries and phone books. I can't.
You're just thinking of Police Adjective.
I just
the
can't.
last scene of Police Adjective where he reads.
I can't see any more movies about people being shoveled around on gurneys waiting to die for 3 hours.
That was good.
No, it wasn't.
Lazarescu, that was good.
God help us all.
Anyway, this is about this middle class Jewish girl. She's living in Bucharest, and she's pregnant, and she's got a boyfriend, trying to work that out. And meanwhile, her mother lives in Israel. So it's all about this stuff that's going on in the Jewish community in Bucharest and, of course, in Israel. So it's the directorial debut of this one Romanian guy. And, it's very low budget, although it means well, and there's a lot of good character stuff. I just think that I would like to see a little more polish to the script. I'd like to see the characters a little bit better drawn. It felt like it needed like another pass. Although you can't fault the sincerity of the writers and directors, still, I would take a pass on So Bright Is the View, unless you're a big fan of Romanian film, which you might be, because, again, they've been having a renaissance, although, as we said before, that renaissance is kind of starting to wane. But, so there you go. So Bright Is the View. Next, we have Tip Top. Now, Tip Top is kind of a crazy this is a little bit like Wild Tales. I probably should have talked about this after I talked about Wild Tales. This is with Isabelle Huppert, and it's about this Algerian informant. He's like an Algerian informant for the French police, and he's found dead. And the two investigators who investigate the murder, these two women, one of them played by Huppert, and they're just crazy. They're these two wild characters, and they have their own special way of investigating a murder, and it's got a lot of the script is really clever, and there's a lot of cool shots in it, and I just think this thing it's got a bit of a screwball mix going on there, and I really like this thing. Tip Top, that was cool.
Well, speaking of cool murders or cool murder mysteries, L'Île Coin is a murder mystery of sorts, and I got to tell you, it's shockingly fun and funny, and I don't say that lightly. L'Île Coin, which is the name of this really just mischievous, pranky kid in this thing, and you spell it just so that you know L-I'-L, like little, like Lil Abner. And then Coin is Quin. This is a film. This is on Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. New film from Bruno Dumont, an enfant terrible of French cinema these days. Bruno Dumont has made some of the most unbelievably boring and annoying films ever. The last one he did was Camille Claudel, 1915, with Juliette Binoche playing Camille Claudel, the famous sculptress, previously portrayed by Isabelle Adjani in the amazing film from the 1980s. I guess it was late 80s. Amazing, masterful film, the original Camille Claudel. Anyway, this was his previous film from a couple of years ago. She was already in an asylum, and it's so boring. You just want to shoot yourself. This is actually a weird kind of Twin Peaksy murder mystery, where in this small French village they find a cow that has like human body parts stuffed in it, and they have to figure it out. It is shockingly funny, still weird, still all of Bruno Dumont's kind of weird things that he does, but it totally works. And I got to say this, Bruno Dumont, I actually, I know you hate when I tell Colcoa stories, but one year I did the panel at Colcoa, where all of the filmmakers that are normally have films there, you introduce the delegation, and I introduced them, and I was doing the Q&A, and Bruno was one of them, and I kid you not, Bruno basically right at the beginning in French pretty much insulted everyone else on the panel. And the translator and I looked at each other, and we had to kind of cover for it, because you could tell everyone else on the panel was like, did he do that? They wanted to just dogpile him right there. It's one of the most awkward things I've done in my entire career as a film critic. So I had to somehow cover for Bruno Dumont insulting everybody on stage. And then lastly, Mathieu Amalric, who we just absolutely adore. Wonderful filmmaker. You got one there. I'll let you get to that in a second. Mathieu Amalric does an adaptation, stars in and directs an adaptation of a Georges Simenon story, which is a little bit like, Postman Always Rings Twice / Double Indemnity. It's one of those where an affair becomes much more dangerous. And it's called The Blue Room. And this thing kind of fell under the radar, but it's out on from MPI on DVD and totally worth checking out. It's really nicely done, and I love Mathieu Amalric, especially after Diving Bell and the Butterfly, right?
Yeah.
Amazing performance. Great actor. So, great actor. Good director, too.
The good folks at Facets. And Little Sister. This is a good little movie. This is from 1995. I don't know why they dug this up, but it's a cool little movie. It's actually it's basically a micro budgeted film about incest.
What's it called?
Little Sister.
Oh, Little Sister. Oh, I love movies about incest.
Don't you though?
I do.
And here's the thing, though. Now you got to understand. In 1995, this was a big deal. Now today it's pretty bad today. It's one of those movies that is all seen through a video camera.
Oh.
Because the brother is videotaping the object of his desire, which happens to be his sister.
So not quite found footage, but...
Yes.
Got it.
So it starts out kind of playful, then becomes a little bit menacing. And, I think it's a pretty interesting movie. It's in a pretty edgy scenario, and but yet it's kind of funny, kind of charming.
A Dutch film. It is a Dutch film.
You're about to
I'm just looking at it. I'm just like, it's from Netherlands.
I thought you were about to say something.
No.
Quote unquote.
No,
funny.
because I'm rooting for my Dutch women. They're
all right. Goodbye.